Greetings, everyone. I'm Gretchen Olerhag of Lighten Up and Thrive, Joyful Living for Mind, Body, and Soul. I also want to introduce my co-creator and business partner, Dr. Jerry Eddington. While I'll be guiding you through this module, I want you to know that Lighten Up and Thrive is very much of a joint venture. Jerry and I have similar yet very unique backgrounds, so our skill sets complement one another brilliantly. First and foremost, Jerry and I are mind, body, soul coaches, as well as lifetime learners that are passionate about teaching and helping others to experience powerful shifts in their lives. We co-created our Lighten Up and Thrive business so that we could reach many more people with our online and social media support and presence. We offer educational home study modules and programs so that we can share inspirational materials, transformational programs, and also become your catalyst for personal growth. But you can also check us out at www.lightenupandthrive.com and also on our Lighten Up and Thrive Facebook page. So just a little bit about me. Again, my name is Gretchen, and I'd like to just share with you that my passion is really to facilitate powerful transformational shifts at a core level for people. Transformations occur by discovering, reframing, and shifting limiting beliefs. Transforming limiting beliefs helps to unlock each individual's highest potential, which also helps to align you with your soul's truth and your divine purpose. This is the key factor in all of our trainings and our programs. Jerry also specializes in transforming limiting beliefs. Jerry's passion is helping others to connect to their inner wisdom, and she really does this on a soul level. I love how Jerry calls herself a soul success coach because she's brilliant at helping others to discover and uncover their obstacles, which frees them to achieve their personal and career potentials. So we're delighted that you are participating in this 4-part series called Finding Balance. This is the second home study module, and this one is called Happy Trails, the Wondrous Search for Happiness and Where to Find It. Trying to find balance in our lives is a really popular topic in this day and age, and trying to find happiness is certainly a key component. So we've got some fabulous information, insights, and activities to help you rediscover this happiness factor and how to cultivate happiness more powerfully in your life. Some of you might just be doing this home study module as a standalone product, so just know that this is also the second module of the 4 in this Finding Balance series as well. So in addition to this PowerPoint, you also have an activity package that will enhance this learning experience for you. So let's begin. Today's learning outcomes are broken down into the following key topics. Consciously move away from unhappiness, choose to move towards happiness, and identifying and incorporating the 12 TLCs and how to make others happy by acts of kindness. Today we're going to look at happiness from 2 different perspectives, and these perspectives are moving away from unhappiness. We can't experience happiness or even expect to have it in our lives if we aren't first willing to move away from those things that make us unhappy. So we're going to look at what we need to change in order to make space for happiness to show up. And the second thing is how to move towards happiness. Researchers in the field of happiness have identified a dozen what they call the therapeutic lifestyle changes, those TLCs for short. And these are the therapeutic lifestyle changes that a person can pursue that will move them towards happiness in the form of a healthier lifestyle and self-empowerment, and therefore a greater mental health and well-being. we're going to explore what these strategies are and determine which ones would be most beneficial for you to move towards happiness. And finally, we'll also look at how we can experience more happiness when we put time and attention into making others happy. So let's begin our discovery. At some time, we all have asked ourselves or been asked by someone else, are you happy? As you see in that slide number 6, it's a great question. Are you happy? It seems like a simple question. But before you answer, you might want to take a moment and reflect on whether you even know what happiness is or what it takes to have it. So let's begin our time together by exploring what happiness looks like for each of us, and then we'll explore how it can be attained. Whatever country or culture we live in, we all have the same deep desire to be happy. As you see in slide number 7, the woman just peeking out from behind the wall, we all are searching for answers. So in a moment, you will be looking at some random images, and from those images, I'd like you to pick out 3 that define what happiness means to you. So please take out worksheet number 1. You'll also see that in slide number 8, there's the random pictures that I'd just like you to take a few moments to look at. You might want to pause the recording at this point and just pick out 3 pictures that seem to be calling to you. Okay, so now that's probably hard to just choose 3. I know I had a hard time with that. So some of the examples, maybe if you chose the beach, that is one of the pictures that called to you. And what would that reflect back to you? Something maybe about relaxation? Or maybe you looked at the picture of the flowers, which might indicate something to you along the line of maybe some serenity. Or maybe even the lady painting, which might indicate creativity or any kind of a creative process. Or maybe even the women that are sharing a cup of coffee together, just maybe reflecting about spending time with friends. So I'd like you to reflect on the pictures that seem to resonate with you. And one reason that so many people are unhappy is that they simply have stopped looking for happiness. They've stopped savoring their experiences and the gratification the present moment can bring. They no longer look for ways to remain engaged in what they do in their jobs or their chosen careers. They forget to look for new ways to make their lives more meaningful. Maybe they've also stopped noticing all the ways in which they are blessed and saying thank you for what they have been given. Or maybe they've stopped searching for ways to express kindness towards others. So it's no wonder that people's cloudy moods about life and the struggles that they face never seem to lift. Some people have lost sight of happiness and maybe have stopped remembering that it's something they need to commit to and to pursue each and every day. The fact is, happiness is a choice. And like anything truly meaningful in our lives, it takes energy, discipline, and yes, some effort. Happiness is not based on circumstance, but practice. It doesn't just show up and happen only for a select few, although sometimes it may seem like that. Anyone can have happiness, but it's up to that person to pursue it. If we are going to pursue happiness, we need to first make the conscious decision to move away from those things that make us unhappy and towards the things that make us happy. So let's see what we can do to remove the unhappiness that we feel in our lives. So let's look at slide number 10. Did you know Disneyland's mission statement starts with these words? We create happiness. We also can create happiness, and we don't need to build an elaborate theme park in order to do it. In fact, in most cases, our happiness stems more from what needs to be removed from our lives rather than by what needs to be added. I'm going to repeat that because I think this is a really important concept to understand. In most cases, our happiness stems from what needs to be removed from our lives rather than by what needs to be added. The concept of happiness is often depicted by something that we're all familiar with, such as that bright shining sun that you see on slide number 11. And also on the next slide, you see the clouds, because clouds can also represent the things that get in the way or cloud our lives from being happy. So when using the metaphor of a sun to represent happiness, it would make sense that if we want to be happy, we have to first remove the clouds that are making us unhappy. So please pull out your worksheet number 2, which has the title of the Happiness Conceptual Model. Because the first step to being happy is to remove the things that make you unhappy. So you will notice on the conceptual model that there are clouds which have been numbered. I'd like to share the top 5 personal traits that get in the way of us being happy, and as I do, you can just write them in the clouds on this worksheet. So, studies show that we can work on eliminating 5 common personal traits, and if we can do that, that we will be well on our way to living a happier life. So you'll notice on slide number 13, the first thing is apathy or being apathetic. Because being apathetic is about showing no interest, enthusiasm, or concern. It's about being indifferent, uninvolved, and unmotivated in life. In fact, apathy can be regarded as the absence of emotion. We're not happy, not sad, not angry, and certainly not passionate. So here are some signs associated with being apathetic. Possibly your regular interests and hobbies don't feel interesting or fun anymore. Or maybe you feel very unmotivated at work and your work performance starts to slip. When you think of acting on a goal or a possible interest, maybe you quickly lose steam. Or another one might be that you allow yourself to spend way too much time sitting in front of the TV or surfing the net or on social media or playing video games. Or possibly another one is that you fill your time with mindless tasks and also with busy work. Feeling like you do not possess the level of skill required to confront a challenge can also possibly be another symptom of being apathetic. So on the next slide, you see the second thing, the second category that can cloud our happiness, and that's being unhealthy. This is another trait. So according to Pew Research, most people who say their health is poor also say that they are not happy. And according to a study in the Archives of Internal Medicine, an unhealthy lifestyle is defined as a lifestyle where a person engages in activities that are known to be detrimental to one's health, maybe such as smoking, not exercising regularly, eating unhealthy foods, not maintaining a healthy weight, or maybe consuming too much alcohol in your life, anything along those lines. So the question we may need to ask is, why is it hard for us to change our unhealthy behaviors? Perhaps these behaviors are indicative of a deeper discontentment with who we are. Health can simply be a mirror reflecting how we feel about our own self-worth. Now, on the next slide, you'll notice the third personal trait clouding our happiness, and this is about being stuck in the past. This is a key issue for a lot of people. Life only moves in one direction, and that's forward. The life ahead isn't what ages you, but rather it's the refusal to leave the past behind. Memories are double-edged swords at times, and getting stuck in the past is like going back in time, but not being able to participate in it. I often use an analogy with people that I'm working with, and that it's almost as if you are only looking in the rearview mirror of your life when you're driving, and you're never looking forward. Ask anyone who is blissfully happy if regret has any place in their lives, and they'll tell you no, and that's certainly an aspect of looking and being stuck in the past. Allowing regret to make a hole in your heart is a guaranteed ticket for unhappiness, and life will pass us by until we wake up one day and realize that all the time that has passed that we cannot get back to when we are stuck in regrets. You can't change the past or the things that have happened, but what you can do is decide if it will rule your future. So on the next slide, you'll notice the fourth personal trait that can cloud our happiness, and that's feeling hopeless. Are there times that you just feel like giving up? Have you ever felt like you're being backed into the wall with nowhere to go? Do you sometimes feel as if nothing is ever enough, as if nothing really makes a difference, and that maybe your life feels like it's unraveling and there's nothing that you can do about it? Sometimes we feel hopeless because of something that happens to us. We make a mistake, or maybe we have to deal with a big disappointment. We lose something or someone we care about, or have to deal with situations that are really stressful or overwhelming. And as a result of feeling hopeless, we don't spend time with friends. We isolate ourselves. We don't exercise, or we don't try new things. And that just adds to our unhappiness. And on the next slide, you'll see the fifth trait and the final personal trait that clouds our happiness, and that's unappreciative. Being unappreciative means that we do not fully understand, recognize, or value things. And if we don't recognize or see value, it also means that we don't feel or express gratitude. And as a result of living in a culture of negativity and fear, it can sometimes be really hard to see the good both in people and also in our lives. When we are unappreciative, we can become closed off and less receptive to others and their needs. When unappreciative, we also can become blind to the world as a place of wonder, and we no longer recognize the good that comes our way. Now, you'll notice on the conceptual model that there still is one blank cloud. So, I'd like you to take a moment to identify something in your own life that is getting in the way of you being more happy and that you would like to change. So give yourself permission to identify anything, big or small, that you feel may be blocking you from being happier. And this can be a really personal thing. So just be really honest with yourself. No one else is looking at this. So give yourself permission to identify something that you would like to change in your life. In that cloud, fill in your own thing right there that you're identifying. Now, I'd also like you to put a star or a circle next to a trait that is currently clouding your happiness the most. And you'll see that also on this PowerPoint slide, on slide number 19. So whether it's number 1, apathetic, or 2, unhealthy, or 3, being stuck in the past, or 4, feeling hopeless, or 5, unappreciative, or the question mark with your own personal trait. Just put a star or a circle next to the trait that is currently clouding your happiness the most. And I'd like you to pause after I pose the following questions, and I'd like you to reflect on your answers to this. Which of the personal traits do you feel is the biggest blockage to a person being happier? And then why? Do you think we need to trust more in our intuition or in our rational thinking when it comes to happiness? And if so, why? When do you think we are happy enough? Those are some really powerful questions. So just pause the recording for a moment and see what powerful insights you come up with. One of the big things that we coach on as soul coaches is about clutter clearing in our lives. And this is very powerful to really understand, is that we have to make a space in our lives for happiness. So as you look on that slide number 20, just look at that clutter as a metaphor in your life. So let's take some time to determine how we can move away from the unhappiness we feel in our lives. So let's look at the traffic stop sign on the slide 21. I'd also like you to pull out your worksheet number 3, and that one is entitled, What Needs to Change? So you're going to use the traffic light image below as a metaphor to help you identify what needs to change in your life in order to let happiness show up more. As you can see on the worksheet, there's a traffic light, and these traffic lights are devices positioned at road intersections and also pedestrian crossings, and they help us regulate the flow of traffic. But let's use this device as this metaphor to explore what needs to change in our lives so that we can welcome in more happiness. In a moment, I'd like you to answer 3 questions that are listed in the traffic light. In the red light, you'll notice the question, what things in my life do I need to stop in order to be happier? And in the yellow light, what things in my life do I need to be careful about as I pursue greater happiness? And then in the green light, what will I go after and no longer put off in order to be happy? So just take a moment, pause the recording, and just answer some of those questions. And don't think about them too long. Just allow this to, the first things that come to your mind, so that it's a really spontaneous thing coming up from your subconscious mind as well. Now, if you really look at the metaphor of the traffic light, a big question to really ask ourselves is, what does it teach us about being happy? I think this is a great metaphor to really give us a better understanding of what our own issues are around happiness. I love this quote by the Dalai Lama, and that is that happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from our own actions. Again, happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from our own actions. So I'd like you to pull out the second worksheet again, the one that has the title of Happiness Conceptual Model. And I want to give you the key message of this training, which you can write down in the appropriate space at the top of the model there. So, if you were to take away the most important message that I'd like you to remember, that is this: those who are happy choose to be. So write that in the key message at the top of your second worksheet. Those that are happy choose to be happy. Put simply, happiness is a choice. According to experts, although our general mood and well-being are partially determined by factors like genetics and also our upbringing, roughly 40% of our happiness is within our control, and a large body of research in the field of positive psychology has shown that happiness is a choice that anybody can make. And as psychologist William James put it, the greatest discovery of any generation is that a human can alter his or her life by altering their attitude. That's right. We can alter our lives by altering our attitudes. So how do we accomplish this? We can decide to move away from unhappiness so that we can start moving towards happiness. So let's take a look at this next. Research indicates that a small child laughs more than 400 times a day. So you see that picture on slide number 23 of that child with that beautiful little happy face there. That's pretty amazing when you think about it, 400 times a day. But here's a sad fact. Adults, on the other hand, can probably tally up a whopping 17 times a day. So what young children possess in abundance, but which becomes more scarce in adults, is that lightheartedness, curiousness, playfulness, being positive, and having a loving spirit are very much an aspect that just seems so natural to children, but that seems to become diminished as we age up. This is a good reminder that no one is happy who doesn't want to be happy. Children certainly, for the most part, all seem to want to be happy. And that's why we have to make a conscious choice to not only move away from what's making us unhappy, but move towards things that can make us happier. So that's what we're going to take a look at in this next section. So I'd like you to take out worksheet number 4 that has a title of Life Satisfaction. This assessment is designed to help you identify your current level of life satisfaction. The 12 sections on this web graph represent 12 different life satisfaction statements. And with the center of the graph as 0 and the outer edge as 7, I'd like for you to indicate how strongly you agree or disagree with each statement listed, with 7 reflecting a strong agreement and 0 reflecting strong disagreement. So just simply draw a line across the corresponding number for each statement and then shade in that field. And you'll see an example on the worksheet in the upper right side of how to do that. So just pause the recording and take a few moments to complete the web graph. I don't know about you, but I think there's some really potent categories to look at in terms of this web graph of life satisfaction. So, what is it and what did it feel like to visually see a representation of the satisfaction that you have with your life and in the various categories? Are you more satisfied or less satisfied with your life than you may have thought before doing this assessment? I know that there's a few there that were a little eye-opening for me as well. And how does life satisfaction and also the concept of happiness relate to one another? And now that you've identified your level of life satisfaction in the various areas, let's also look at some of the strategies to move you in that direction of being happier. So I'd like to talk about the therapeutic lifestyle changes, or the TLCs for short, and what those are in terms of health and mental wellness, and what the mental health and wellness practitioners refer to really as healthy ways of living that can make a person emotionally happier, mentally clearer, intellectually sharper, and energetically stronger. The TLCs reduce psychological suffering and enhance a person's performance as well as their sense of well-being. And by including these TLCs into your life, you can increase your level of life satisfaction and move closer to being happier. So in a moment, I'd like to give you the 12 key therapeutic lifestyle changes that can help you move towards happiness. So please pull out worksheet number 2, the one that says the happiness conceptual model. And notice that there are 12 numbered spaces located between the sun rays on the model. The 12 key TLCs can be written in these spaces as each is presented. So give yourself an opportunity to just write those down so you can remember this and recall them when you want to review this again. So the 12 key therapeutic lifestyle changes are, the first one is accomplishments. So go ahead and write that one in. And accomplishments really are about taking a positive self-assessment. And the second one is exercise. And this is all about just keeping your body active. I like to call it taking care of your temple for your soul. And the third one is nutrition, eating healthy foods. That's a pretty obvious one as well. The fourth one is nature, getting outside and noticing the natural wonders. There's so much research about how critical it is for us to get out into nature, and some people call it earthing, connecting to the electromagnetic fields of the earth, or also called the Schumann resonance. And this is something that becomes more and more critically important, especially as we get so much more involved with technology. And the fifth one is charity. And that literally just means doing charitable acts, doing things for others. And the sixth one is relationships, connecting with people. And again, as I bring up technology every now and then, it is rather obvious as a consequence that the more we get involved with technology, it's almost as if we let some of our other interpersonal connections with other people kind of go by the wayside. So notice that it really is important to take time to cultivate our relationships, to nurture them, and just connect with people. The seventh one is recreation. Making time for fun and play. Gosh, is this important? Remember that child that we saw with all those smiles on his face in that other slide? And the eighth one is relaxation. Releasing tension and stress. And boy, is this important, just like doing any type of quiet mind type of techniques as well. The ninth one is spiritual. being a part of something bigger than yourself, or recognizing our interconnectedness to all that is, to the Creator, whatever it is that you want to call that. And the 10th thing then is learning. Learning new things. Keep that brain, your mind, thriving by learning all new type of techniques, or challenging your ideas and just reading and expanding your viewpoints on things. The 11th thing is adventure. Having some goals to look forward to. I'm always so amazed when I read stories of like President Bush, who's taking skydiving up still. I think he did a jump at 90 years of age. That's pretty impressive. And so, besides adventures, we also have the 12th thing, which are acts of kindness. And this is about making others happy. So the therapeutic lifestyle changes have the advantage of being enjoyable, fairly inexpensive, and they're certainly free from side effects, and they're easily available. We can all do these things and have a good time doing them while making ourselves healthier as well as happier. And now I'd like you to pull out worksheet number 5, the one that's entitled Therapeutic Lifestyle Changes. This worksheet lists all of the 12 TLCs along with questions associated with each one of them. So, for example, accomplishments. You might ask a question of what have you done that you can feel good about? Exercise. How can you stay more active and healthy? Nutrition. What healthy food choices can you start making? Remember, baby steps on that too work just fine. And for nature, when can you stop and take notice? Literally, that old expression of stop and smell the roses. Charity. What can you do to help others? Relationships. Who matters most to you, and how can you connect more with them? Recreation. What activities could help positively fill your leisure time? And for relaxation, how do you relieve tension and stress? Spiritual. What do you think could help give your life more meaning? Learning. What new things are you willing to learn? Adventure. What new places do you want to see, or new experiences do you want to have? And then again, those acts of kindness. How can you make others happy? This is also a great time to pull out worksheet number 4, the one that is entitled The Life Satisfaction, and just take a moment to review your life satisfaction results once more. So take a look at that. You might even want to pause the recording at this point in time and just look at that. So now, I'd like you to identify 2 TLCs that if you implemented could help improve your results. You can choose whichever results that you want to work on. And after you pick your 2 TLCs, I want you to go ahead and answer each question associated with those TLC questions that you've chosen. So again, you might want to pause the recording and take time to answer that. And now, a big question here is, if these 12 TLCs can significantly affect your level of happiness, then a great question to ask yourself is, what keeps you from more intentionally including these in your lives? It's not enough to sit around wanting to be happy. You must make the effort to change what is either missing or really is just not present in your life. And simply by implementing any number of those TLCs can significantly contribute to your feelings of happiness and your well-being. Again, this all comes down to you making a choice to be happy and then taking some action steps, doing something about it. So now that we've gained some insights into happiness and realize that to be happy, we must first move away from those things that make us unhappy. And then secondly, move towards those things that can make us happy. Let's just briefly explore another way to find happiness. And that is literally just to make others happy, as you notice in slide number 28. When we are considerate of others, people respond positively to us, and our state of happiness is directly impacted by this. So the question we need to ask ourselves is whether our actions are showing consideration for others. In other words, what am I doing? What am I willing to do to increase my own happiness by, ironically, making others happy too? It's directly proportional to one another. So a question to ask yourself is, does anyone even think about happiness of others anymore? Today there are so many people who are experiencing sorrowful lives, living in social isolation from one another. A culture of loving and sharing is really being lost. We are more consumed with our own desires and have forgotten the need to just love each other and just to share the simple joys of life with one another. The world is like a mirror. If we look at it and smile, it literally smiles back to us. One of the easiest paths to happiness is literally just to make others happy. So, what is required to make others happy? Simply acts of kindness without expecting anything in return. Mother Teresa once said, "We cannot do great things on this earth, only small things with great love." Research shows that being kind to others increases our own levels of happiness as well as theirs. When we're kind to people, it strengthens our connections with them and provides a source of support. And even doing kind things for strangers helps build cooperation, trust, and a sense of safety. It also helps us to see others more positively and empathize with them more deeply. So I'd like you to pull out worksheet number 6, and that has a title of Making Others Happy. Kindness can be as simple as a smile, a hug, a compliment, a thank you, a simple gesture, or a word of encouragement. It doesn't have to cost anything or take much time. What's important is that it's an act of genuine care and thoughtfulness for another person. Ideally, your acts of kindness should be beyond the kind of things that you do on a regular basis. So take a moment to review the list of kind acts on the worksheet and to put a check mark or maybe a highlight on one of the ideas that you will commit to performing sometime in the coming week as a way of making someone else happy. So just take a few moments to review this, and you might want to just pause the recording at this point in time where you take a look at that. I know when I was reviewing these, it reminded me of a time that I was simply in line at the grocery store, and there was a young family in front of me, and they were struggling to come up with the right amount of change to pay their bill. And the father grabbed a gallon of milk and was ready to take it back because they couldn't afford to purchase it. And I simply just offered up the money to pay the difference in the bill. And the joy that they experienced from that gave me exponentially much more joy that I could do that for them. And it was just such a simple act of kindness. You'll be amazed as you incorporate these in your life how good you'll feel to expand your own happiness quotient there. So just think about some of those things. And now some other key points that I just want to make is that remember, happiness is simply a choice. So to make someone else happy, you just have to be genuine, open, and willing to put in some effort to make a difference. Brightening up a person's day, whether it's your best friend or the waiter serving your meal, that will also make you happy too. And therefore commit to intentionally doing acts of kindness for others without expecting anything in return. So in this training, we've covered the need to first move away from unhappiness and then to move towards happiness. We also touched on the simple idea of making others happy as a way to experience happiness ourselves. And as we bring this training to an end, perhaps it's important for each of us to reflect on this simple question: do I really want to be happy? Another way to ask that, as you look at slide 31, is, am I willing to do what I can to choose to be happy? Interesting how just kind of reframing that question a little bit can kind of make a difference in how you interpret it and respond to it. So, as you look at slide 32, I want you to just hear this one point, that having more happiness in life isn't a quick fix process, but rather an intentional effort to move away from those things that create negativity in your life and move toward the things that warms your spirit. I love how Denise Lynn, who is one of our mentors, Jerry's and my mentors, I love how she says, when you walk into a room, whatever the situation is it energy up or energy down? Do you feel your energy going up literally, or do you feel your energy being pulled down? I know when I looked at that slide of that clutter, I could really feel my energy just going down on that. So start to pay attention to some of those more subtle things in your life. So if you really want to be happy, it's not too late to start imagining it for your future. I'd like you to notice this path across this field in slide number 32. And also then pull out your activity worksheet number 7, which has a title of Happily Ever After. You're going to just take a peek into your future and predict 2 wondrous events that will happen to you. So use that powerful imagination of yours and make it rich and vivid in detail. See it, feel it, hear it. Imagine 2 events in the future that would just be thrilling, exciting for you. And just imagine that you can take a little peek into that future. And then I'd like you to write down in that space, in that square on worksheet number 7, 2 events that will take you into that place of really experience happiness. So just write those down, reflect on those for a moment, and pause your recording. Some final points to make is that each day Just do something that will move you further away from those things that make you unhappy and move towards happiness by bringing more of those TLCs into your life. And then also intentionally set out to make others happy. I love this quote by William Gladstone. And that quote just simply reads that: be happy with what you have and are. Be generous with both, and you won't have to hunt to find happiness. So, just recapping in some of the key points on that slide number 33 is that those who are happy choose to be. Happiness is a choice, so look for happiness. And then change whatever is missing or not present in your life. Be genuine, open, and willing to make a difference and make someone else happy. Daily, move further away from those things that make you unhappy and simply just bring more of those TLCs into your life. So that's it for today for this Happy Trails module. And Jerry and I want to thank you for participating with us. We hope that you found this information really valuable, and also want to just really encourage you to implement as many of the teachings that you've had today. And remember, just take baby steps. I'd like you also to just look at that last slide and check out our transformational 28-day soul coaching programs on www.lightenupandthrive.com. Dr. Jerry has her program called Let Your Soul Shine, and I also offer Letting Go into the Flow, along with our other programs and also our Facebook mastermind groups. We look so forward to you joining us for the third module in this series. And until the next time, be well and choose to lighten up and thrive.